justice for all.
Okay. So as I stated earlier, we have really 4 items that we really want to deal with that I think we probably can. But first, we need motions for the minutes of May 28th and June 4th.
I make said motion.
Second?
Made in second. Any discussion, any corrections, any comments? If none, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, okay. Public smoking policy. Last meeting, 2 members were not here. And we had, I think it's safe to say we have varied opinions on the council as to where this ought to go, to both extremes probably. And one of those was to ban smoking and tobacco at the Vergennes Veterans Park, and the City Green, and then we discussed Falls Park and McDonough Park. The other opinion was to have no ban at any of the parks except for the Veterans Park where the pool is. Mel and I talked about it after the last meeting, and based on what Lynn said and what Ziggy said and what Joe said, we put together something that is kind of in the middle, which might be an option. I would like to settle this tonight, one way or the other, just because I think we've had plenty of discussion. This policy that came in the packet prohibits smoking at Vergennes Veterans Park where the pool is, prohibits smoking at the Green, the Falls Park, and McDonough Park unless during any event or scheduled by the city, unless a smoking area is defined by the organizers of the event, and that it be delineated and appropriate smoking receptacles, placed there and removed after the event. So basically, it's prohibited unless there's an event and the organizer wants to create a designated smoking area. So it gives you a little bit of what you want, Lynn, except there's not a permanent smoking area there. But it does, prohibit it for an individual or whomever that might be walking through the park. So I'm not sure where the discussion wants to go. I mean, you guys, Ziggy said that she really doesn't feel that smokers should be, singled out. They pay their taxes. They are the same as the rest of us. Other people feel that there's a health issue, there's an issue with kids and so on. We had discussed this for quite a bit of time at the last meeting. And I guess we can discuss it, but I don't think we need to discuss it forever. I think we need to decide if we can get a consensus. So we are not gonna have a unanimous decision here, I don't think. But we need 4 votes in order for a policy to take effect.
Should we do it procedurally, make a motion just so we can discuss this, or can we discuss it without a motion?
Yeah, actually, we probably should make a motion.
Okay.
First, so I'll make the motion to adopt this policy.
I'll second it.
That's for discussion purposes, and since
Sure.
I made the motion, I might as well speak.
Okay. Randy, you're up first.
So, I think, at the very least, we should pass the no smoking for the Veterans Park, because that's in use right away. We don't want smokers around the kids and that sort of thing. As far as, it is a difficult issue, about smokers being singled out. Well, the fact of the matter is, they are singled out. I mean, you can't smoke in bars, you can't smoke in buildings. There's innumerable places where smoking has been prohibited. So if that's considered being, discriminatory is not the correct word, but singling out smokers, yes, they are already singled out, massively singled out. So that if we get to a point where we want to prohibit it in other parks, I don't necessarily think that's a wrong thing. Now, to get this at least moving, though, from my perspective, where we have the other parks listed during events, that is prohibited during events unless the organizers provide a no smoking area, I don't see how practically that can work. You're outdoors. You can't tell where the wind's gonna blow the smoke. Unless somebody's gonna come in there with some sort of a purifier and people are standing under it in order to control it, how are you gonna control where the smoke goes? So, I mean, I think that if we're gonna prohibit it during events, then we just prohibit it during events, period. And it's just not allowed during events.
But individuals could smoke there during the day or something.
Right, at
Is what
this
you're-
point, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, because
So you're just
well,
saying
I'm
that
really
you're
interested in
taking-
trying to get a policy through tonight.
Yep.
To get some of the basics
So
done.
you're saying that at special events, there shouldn't be any smoking?
That's
or
right.
But without events, like people just going through the park,
Right.
They can smoke.
At this point,
Okay.
because I'm still stewing about whether we should go forward with the city green. I guess personally, I think that we should, but I don't think necessarily that there are votes here, and I think we need to have a policy started. As I said, the smokers are singled out all over the place, so we're not doing anything.
So you're questioning the
different.
feasibility of the designated smoking area, and I
Yeah.
can see that. I
Yeah.
mean, that could be problematic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
with this policy, I could go with this policy, just making it that for events, it's prohibited. It doesn't make any difference whether the organizer has a designated smoking area or not. And it would be fine with me, at least as a starter.
So you would put a period at the end of the word clerk, Rennie, if I understand you correctly?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Lowell, what do you think?
At the very least, children events in the park, Kids' Day, stuff like that. But yeah, I would agree with Rennie that as long as it was during events and people could just pass through there and have a cigarette with no events going on, I would think that would be okay.
They're really not bothering anybody.
Exactly.
Is kind of the consensus we had last week that we
Right.
talked about.
I mean, we can't stop them from walking down the sidewalk smoking,
Well,
so.
yeah. Lynn?
Well, I have to change the way I was voting. I did my little survey. And I thought it was actually worked out really well. It was overwhelming not to have smoking on the park. It's not my personal, I think that there was never a problem at the park. I never saw anybody, nobody ever bothered us. But obviously, that's the general opinion that there should not be smoking while there's an event going on.
So you're saying the event, so you're agreeing with this?
With the period at
With
the
the
end.
With the
period,
period.
with Rennie's,
But that being said, I'll tell you the two other comments that I got that should be sort of thought about by the council is, Linda and Jim Weaning both called to say that they were concerned that it only pushes the smoking to their corners. So you leave the park, you go over there, and there should be something there, so it doesn't become a cluster of butts on the sidewalk.
my
Yeah.
wife said that, the bus stop is where everybody smokes too.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It drives her crazy.
Right, so.
That pushes them
You know,
back
I-
to the other side of the street.
Exactly, they come from the park, it's still, they can participate and come right back, but Linda said they come over, and, I'm sure it's around the corner too, and then they end up, the trash is all there. So I think we need to just think about that, if we say no parking, or, no parking, no smoking during events of just the other side of the street, what happens over there?
Well, how can they say they walk across the street to their store if we've never had a policy before?
I don't,
Because
that's,
people
no, I think,
automatically do it now, I bet.
yeah,
Do they?
well,
Do
she
they?
just said, I don't think she, I think they do
step
go
away from
over,
the green
but I
right
think they
now.
have a habit of smoking on that bench anyway. It's a good place to sit, so,
We
Joe?
should put a can there.
I agree with eliminating the statement about the designated smoking area, and I strongly feel that we should include the city green in the no smoking zone.
Period.
Yes.
Okay. Ziggy?
I agree when there's functions going on, no smoking. But again, I still have the concerns, like with the animals that are going on, where they go down the street, they can urinate, they can actually do the other stuff. Sometimes it gets, you go down by the park, by the falls, and you can't actually walk down there because there's so much of it. And it's like an event. If you don't want people smoking there, I don't know why we're even gonna allow dogs there. Because when you're having a barbecue and all of a sudden you see somebody picking up poop over by the church and you're looking and here you're eating, you know, or they're urinating on a tree or they're urinating on a chair, when there's people, all kinds of people in the park. You know, this is why I felt the way I did last week, because I thought, well, you know, the treatment here, if we're gonna do this with people smoking, this is why I brought it up, you weren't here. You know, it's because I think this is just as important, but I agree, if there's any events, you know, no smoking, but otherwise, and that includes the green, they should be used.
Randy?
For consensus sake, I didn't think the designated smoking area would work. That was gonna be hard, you know, wind blows from all directions, so it was gonna drift into the park one way or another. I think we should do, we'll do at the end of clerk designated, and that's it, and the city green and Vergennes Falls Park and McDonough Park as events are being performed there.
I'm unclear about, Joe, did you feel that the city green should be in the same category as the Vergennes Veterans Park?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just wanted
I
to
know,
clarify
so-
that, okay.
Okay, Rennie?
I just have to disagree a little bit with Ziggy about the correlation with the dogs and the smoking, because it may be distasteful if they're not using the bags and picking up and the dogs in the park, that happens, but it's not harmful to somebody's health, and smoking is, and I think there's a big difference. So I just, that analogy just doesn't work with me.
And you're saying when they're urinating on the ground and leaving it and poop, and it's just staying there and staying there, and you got flags
Well,
and magnets and all.
I think the park actually is pretty clean because we
Well,
have the
I'm talking-
bags there.
Yeah, on the
You know.
green, but you go down there by the falls, it's bad.
Well, this brings up something else which we're not gonna get into tonight, but we've had calls and emails about these parks and with fires, noise, dogs, and I think we need to look at,
Okay.
the park policy will be coming up, and that may be a good time to address some of that, so.
All right.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
But I'm not, the motion was to adopt this, so I get the feeling that there's an amendment, because
Right.
the motion was to approve this.
Right.
As
So-
presented.
Right, and maybe, what, I wanna end up with a policy. So I don't know whether there's the votes here, but I'm willing, well, unless you wanna amend it, because I feel the same way as you do.
I'd offer the amendment. I would like to amend the policy to read, smoking or the use of smokeless tobacco products is prohibited at the following premises: Vergennes Veterans Park, City Green, and the rest of it remains. And the other amendment would be to put a period after clerk and eliminate the words between unless and, to the end of the sentence.
Okay, so let's have a vote on that amendment.
So we could
Okay.
vote on
So-
that.
And then I'll second that amendment.
Okay, so the amendment is to have smoking and smokeless tobacco products prohibited at Vergennes Veterans Park and the City Green.
So this would move up to here,
So City Green would go under Vergennes Veterans Park,
all right?
and that it would be prohibited during events at Vergennes Falls Park and McDonough Park. Is that correct?
Yes.
I have a problem with putting the city green on there as a permanent.
Okay,
And you
I'm
vote-
I'm
that's where you're gonna
clarifying,
vote.
you can vote your conscience,
Vote
okay?
against- you can
This
vote
isn't
no, no,
approved
no.
yet, but so the
But
motion
that's the
at hand
amendment.
is to
Just the
prohibit it at Vergennes Veterans Park and the City Green, and to prohibit it during events at Vergennes Falls Park and McDonough Park, period. That's the motion.
That's the
That's
amendment.
the amendment.
That's the amendment to the
amendment,
motion, excuse me,
right.
okay. So,
You vote on the amendment.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All opposed?
No,
No,
there are a lot of seniors that walk out there that use it.
that's my
4 to
thought.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we get a lot of
Now we have
complaints,
to-
we can always change.
Yeah, we can.
It's a policy, it's not.
So now you gotta vote on the original motion, though.
Now we have to vote on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, so
Motion
now we
and
have,
amendment.
we have the amendment that's been approved, and do we have a motion,
The motion with the amendment.
the
is what you vote.
motion with the amendment, excuse me. Is there a motion to accept the motion with the amendment? Isn't that right?
Yeah,
It's already, the motion's already in place.
It's already in.
The amendment's been approved, the
Yeah, the
motion has not been.
Now
That's
you
right.
vote on
Now
the
we see,
motion.
I have.
So now we're voting on the original amendment as amended.
That's correct, original
Right.
policy with the amendment, that's
Right.
correct.
Okay. There's a motion. There's a second? Do
No,
need to-
we already did.
We don't need to do that?
We don't
Okay.
need to do that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Said aye.
is anyone opposed?
No.
No.
Okay. All right, well, that was interesting. Thank you for an interesting discussion. Police station site plan.
We're gonna need some signs. Yes, yes.
Mel has produced a site plan that Breadloaf has put together for the police station with the 3 pieces of land that we had looked at preliminarily with the first bond vote, if we wanted to enlarge that particular site. And along with the prices as calculated, he's been in touch with Carrera. They are fine with these parcels and these prices. We just need to know if it is something we want to move ahead with now or not. Mel, do you want to say anything
Yeah,
about this?
my recommendation is to entertain their offer to sell 2 of the 3 parcels, the 6850 parcel and the 5700 parcel.
So you want to square it up a little bit,
Yeah.
give us a little bit more room in the back and the north side, is
Right,
what
and
you're
the
thinking.
rationale is I'm really not sure that we have enough, number one, I don't think that we have enough room on here to plow without putting snow on somebody else's property, number
Okay.
one. But more importantly, I'm not convinced that in the long term, we have enough off-street parking. I think that there may be a need for some additional parking, and so that's my
And the
recommendation.
$5,700 parcel would allow us to continue that parking
That's
along the rear of the
correct,
building. Okay.
if it was needed. So my recommendation would be to purchase those 2 parcels that I described.
And that money could come out of the water tower fund.
It's come out of the project fund, that's correct.
Yep.
That's planning ahead, like
I think so. I think
we
it's,
talked about.
is there a discussion? Rennie, we'll start here and go around the table. Question?
Yeah, I'm assuming by the way it looks that this would give us enough setback in the rear so that if in the future we wanted to do that semi-garage
Right.
thing, that we would be within the setback requirement?
It'll be close, Rennie. The building is going to, the building is off a little bit. It is gonna be a little closer. I think that it's close, given the current setbacks at 25 feet.
Lowell?
He mentioned something about parking. Is it the plan for the cruisers that are not in use to be parked there, or are they gonna still be down at the sewer treatment plant off hours?
I believe that we would park them here.
I hope so,
Well,
yeah.
one gated area and one's not gated, so I mean, it's, then yeah, parking would be used up even more.
Lynn, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You work, okay, Joe?
Yep.
Ziggy?
You think that's gonna be enough? I had concerned before, like Rennie just brought out, I mean, you gotta think ahead on this, I'd rather pay now than pay later.
And it's not to say that land may not be available in 5 or 10 years,
Right.
but, you know, we don't know that, and the price probably wouldn't be the same, so.
Well, I think I've been consistent in saying this. I don't think we're ever gonna build a building anyway. But I do feel that we shouldn't be plowing on somebody else's property, and I think we ought to have enough, and we shouldn't be parking on somebody else's property either. So that's my rationale.
That may not fit a garage,
Right,
but it
if you-
certainly
you
could
know.
fit a detached shed of some sort for storage of equipment and whatever. So,
Could, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it doesn't have to be a 24 by 40 garage.
Right.
So.
Or we could just change the setback to 20 feet, it's your call anyway, and then you have it.
So,
Or ask for,
Wait a minute, Randy,
Any
what's your
more-
opinion?
I
One.
I really don't like spending the money, but I will have to go along with this to, that just in case.
Which parcels are you looking at? What do you,
The two that Mel recommended.
okay, so you agree with those two, okay.
Can you
Ready?
tell
Well, I
us
was
what
gonna
the
make-
acreage is,
I'm sorry.
the total acreage of these?
The acreage of the lot, of the lot that we're purchasing from Bruce Berry is 0.6
Yeah,
acres,
I
all
know
right?
that, but what is
The,
the other two?
if you do the math,
Probably a
if you-
tenth or a
the-
15th of an
The triangle
acre.
in the front is $5 per square foot, so if you take $6,850 and divide it by 5, that will get you square footage. And then multiply that times 29 and move the
Yeah.
decimal place 6 places, you'll get the acreage. The 5,700, you divide that by 2, and that will give you the square footage.
that's
'Cause it's
$28.50.
$5 a square foot for the triangle with frontage and $2 a square foot for the parcel without frontage.
And these are the same prices they quoted us 6 months ago or whatever.
Right, so, yeah, so 5, so it's.
Any other discussion? Rennie?
Well, I think we have to make
A motion.
a motion. I'd make a
Yep.
motion to acquire those two pieces. I guess that's all I need to say.
I'll
We
second.
can't identify them in any other way, but we do know
No,
which
but
ones.
we know which ones, and Mel knows, and there's a, so the motion and a second, any further discussion on this?
I'm impressed, when I argued with you before, the building was even bigger and you didn't wanna do it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Excellent, thank you.
Question.
Yes.
I wanna make sure that Rennie accepted our nomination of him to be the liaison to the.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Okay, good.
Yes, he did.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
No, that's fine. I've built municipal buildings before, so it's okay.
Bond anticipation note, Mel, do you have
know,
something or not?
I do not, but
Okay.
so I don't, we are gonna get something from Merchants Bank.
So
and,
that'll be tabled until the next meeting.
Yeah, I have not done the deal yet
No.
with National Bank of
Oh, I'm sorry.
Middlebury, but I will.
Just a quick question on that land purchase. Is the authorization to buy that land covered in the bond vote? Or does that, because it's a land purchase, does it require voter approval?
It does not require voter approval for 2 reasons. One is that our charter does not require voter approval for purchasing real estate. It does require voter approval for selling real estate, so that's that.
Okay, thank you.
And whatever the sum of those 2 numbers are, that's just incorporated in the budget.
No, I understand. I just was,
Yeah.
thought that.
No,
voters
no, it
might
does
have
not
to be
require
involved
voter
in the real
approval.
estate deal. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, real estate purchase option, which is something that just happened very recently, and we would like to go into executive session.
You can do it at the end of the meeting if you want.
Well,
Are you
yeah, I
ready?
mean, I guess, well, do you have anything else for city manager's report? tonight?
I don't think so.
No? And I don't have much, I've got, I mentioned the parks with fires and so on, that will be on an upcoming agenda. You got in your packet a notice of a meeting at the Opera House, which is Thursday night at 6 o'clock. If you want to attend, they're discussing, where to go from here. And you also got in the packet a picture of this kind of money drop container, which is in Maine. Mel got this. It's on a walkway that's along the ocean in Wells.
It's an
Algonquin.
Algonquin.
And it is something that we have discussed maybe purchasing and putting down by the docks for boaters to contribute to the upkeep
Yeah.
and so on of the dock
Oh, good idea.
areas.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And it's very simple, you put in a check, you put in money, you put in anything, it doesn't take a credit card, which is probably fine. But if we have 500 to 700 boats in a season, if they put in $10 a piece, we're talking some real money that we could leverage. So Mel's gonna get a price on this.
Yeah,
And we'll, if we can get it up this summer, great. If not, but it's just so you can look at it and it's on the table.
and we would have,
Yeah.
the concept would be to have one on both sides of the river.
Yep.
And they would obviously be bolted to the ground.
To concrete.
Real
and
well.
and they would be removed at the end of each season.
And I think,
remapped.
depending on emptying it, the police may empty it twice a week or however is the long as
Joan,
necessary.
Joan, go down, have a cigarette now. You can have
Yeah, stay 20
You
feet
can't smoke in the
away.
park, you gotta go to, take up the button.
Well, these things are commonly like, national park, and national forest campgrounds.
Yeah.
Or have like so registration, you have to go to a window with you fill out a ticket, with an envelope, you put your money in the envelope, put it in, and then put your ticket on your boat,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Well, I had Scott Hardy approach me saying that we could put video cameras up, and the video cameras could keep track of the boats and make sure that the boat owners registered their boats, and put a credit card into a machine, so that it was all electronic. It's like, it can be a drone or something down there, and I said, I think that's a little bit over the top for Vergennes docks, but
You put it closer to Matt, he's pretty good keeping an eye
that's
on
pretty
it.
good. Matt will be good.
And
pretty
he's
good.
retired now, so.
Yeah, so,
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I have, so, we need a motion to go to executive session.
Make said motion.
Second?
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.